So in this segment, we're going to be discussing this Guardian journalist, Raphael Burr, just absolutely slamming the Tory MPs and the DUP over the protocol. And this is glorious stuff here. Absolutely glorious.
Although I don't necessarily agree with the DUP position on this, I understand why they feel betrayed by the Conservative Party on this, because essentially Boris Johnson completely betrayed them. He did a deal, and every single Conservative MP who voted for the deal that was done in 2019 said it was an excellent deal, and the ERG said very clearly this satisfies all of our requirements on sovereignty. They then turned around, they sold it to the British public in a general election on exactly that basis. They said, Boris Johnson said very clearly there would be no border down the Irish Sea, no customs border, which was turned out to be completely untrue. Every Conservative MP who voted for that deal either didn't really understand what it said, in which case they were derelict in their responsibility as parliamentarians, or they did understand, but they didn't actually want to support it. They knew immediately they were going to renege on it, which was fundamentally dishonest.
This is a lot of the stuff that I've been telling people, because this is what's happened. Johnson lied about the protocol. Either they didn't understand it. You remember Ian Duncan was saying, we've read every bit of this. If there's any bits hiding under a rock, we would have found it by now. Let's just vote on the damn bill. So this idea that they didn't know or they didn't understand the protocol makes no sense. And Johnson did lie to the DUP over checks in the Irish Sea, and that's one of the things that's caused us problems here. I mean, this is some wild stuff, and he's laying this out perfectly.
That clip that you saw of Jacob Rees-Mogg earlier, he said something very interesting. He said, we need to get the DUP on side with this and the voters of Northern Ireland. The voters of Northern Ireland, a majority, support the existing protocol. So the voters of Northern Ireland and the DUP are two quite different things. And what's actually happening there is Jacob Rees-Mogg is doing what he always does, what English Tories always do. They are using the politics of Northern Ireland to make points about Eurosceptic theology regarding sovereignty, to reenact whatever civil wars they want to reenact, because 2019 was their finest hour and Brexit has just gone downhill since then. That's the game they're playing. That's the game they've always played. And in answer to your first question, should Rishi Sunak ignore them? Yes, of course he should ignore them. He should just tell them where to go and do the deal to move on to a future of better relations with the European Union.
Matt?
I think on that point about their glorious civil war and 2019 being their finest hour, I do agree with that kind of rhetoric there. That that's what they see it as some sort of conflict with the EU. You had Suella Braverman saying she doesn't want to keep Northern Ireland in the EU single market because she doesn't want the EU to have a foothold in the UK. I mean, absolutely makes no sense here. And the arguments he made in this video, which is just absolutely perfect, surrounding that. And I didn't know, ERG types do use, he's right there that the ERG do use Northern Ireland to bash the EU, saying, this is why the EU are evil, because they're holding parts of the Northern Ireland they're holding parts of the UK hostage, i.e. Northern Ireland. You've got what's her face, that lady we covered the other day on the Jeremy Vine show. I think her name's Alex, former MEP, saying, it's Sophie's choice, and how they're holding Northern Ireland hostage and how that's not very nice of them. And it's like, you'll back the deal, you'll back the withdrawal agreement, Johnson's one, which had the Northern Ireland protocol within it. So if it's the case that it's not true, but if we give them that, this idea that Northern Ireland is being held hostage by the EU is like, you gave it up, you gave Northern Ireland to them. If that's your argument, you gave Northern Ireland as a hostage to the EU, which if that's the case, then it's you guys who have done the treachery there, no one else. Absolutely no one else. But they're the dumb arguments people come up with, because there's an internal border. Yes, there are other countries with internal borders. It absolutely makes no sense. And if you talk about the different regulations between different parts of between GB and NI, I've got news for you, Chief. There are countries that have things like federalism, where different areas, different states have different rules. The USA are a perfect example of that, yet they are still a country. They are still a union of states. So the arguments the DUP use are just absolutely stupid. And, the fact that you got Eurosceptics using the DUP and using Northern Ireland as a weapon to hit the EU with is just ridiculous, especially given how high the stakes are in Northern Ireland. The Good Friday Agreement has not been in place for that long in the context of, kind of global history. It's not been in place that long. The situation can unravel really quickly. And then what will we do then? Because the pieces, like I keep saying, the pieces that allowed the Good Friday Agreement to take place are no longer there anymore. And we've burned through a ton of goodwill here. What happens then? I despair at the state of these Tories and what they've done to this country, genuinely, it's bewildering. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Again, shouts out to Raphael Bauer. Drop him a follow, because that was some glorious stuff here that he was dropping on the BBC Politics Live panel. Absolutely 100% agree. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And I'll catch you in the next one.